Hello, everybody. We very much so are in victory mode right now. Yesterday's video was Awakening the Miracle. This one's Awakening the Victory. So, for myself, I woke up this morning with, first off, belly's getting big, which means that there's a really big seeding going on. There's a birth that's occurring. Whatever is being tapped into right now is obviously some sort of victory that's going on. And the reason that I state that, because it is a personal victory. But I will say this first. With the portions of my life, okay, so we have the waves of ascension, right? So we can think of everyone awakening at different levels, different lengths. When there is, with the pathways that I've had to navigate to land here, and then there is this much of this victory and appreciation growing, I can tell that it is a collective breakthrough. Because we have, a lot of the first wavers and the way shores, I've been doing this a while, have landed in those new beautiful realities and have landed there and have been sitting there for quite a while. Being in what I would call like the second wave and the third wave, because I've wobbled between the two waves, especially with the passageways I've had to navigate and the various storylines and things. This level of victory coming up in my own life is showing not only myself that it's happening for me, but it's happening for the collective as well. What's really interesting is what had occurred this morning. So with the belly getting all big, I know that I'm birthing a creation right now, which is it's a part of the process, right? It's a part of the process when we are seeding, getting our new sacral chakras, getting our upgrades and our downloads. Our bellies will expand as we fill up with light in the belly and begin the process of creation, of birthing. But also too is I recognize that for the collective there's something huge that's approaching for us. And I woke up this morning and it was all of the songs about union. Okay, so when it comes to union, okay, I've discussed this before, Hieros Gamos, is that there's a lot of balancing the masculine and feminine, integration of soul aspects, that occurs, and it will manifest for some, if not for many, into an arrival of something, whether it's a creation, it's a soul family member, a divine partnership. It always, the reality will always reflect what's going on within, just so long as you choose it and not push it away, right? And for myself, the amount that's coming up to the surface right now to purge, to cleanse, and to purify. And then on top of that, the way the pathways are shifting through the choice points and the narratives and things of that nature, I'm beginning to recognize how important what this moment that we are coming up for as a collective is. And everyone's having a different experience. When we hit 11:11 and we start accelerating through this transition point, some people are going into kind of their dark night, and then some people are awakening to their miracle consciousness and they're arriving. This is why the preface of this video is about victory. It does feel like as for myself, with the different pathways that I've been through in all of the different narratives, that there is a cycle that is coming to an end, and I am now accelerating into the new, and I know this is happening for other people too. There's been a lot of lifetimes of struggle and of fear and of subjugation that are clearing now. And I'm really excited to see what comes forward from this, as there's so much peace and opportunity that's aligning from this, right? With the stories, hold on, I say stories. Gosh, I'm so done with stories. with the songs that have been showing up this morning, because I clairaudiently, that's how I navigate kind of what's going on. I have different songs that will show up and play through my clairaudient messages that that share with me kind of like what's going on in the collective. And there's such a big focus on these the trinitization and of unity consciousness and union that is arriving right now in my own life, and it's really exciting. It's really exciting to be a part of this victory. I recognize that in my own life at a soul level, with the consciousness that I hold, that the way that we are relating to one another and relating to ourselves is shifting and changing. There's a deepening of this respect and self-love. Even when we're feeling, like for myself, I get very argumentative, right? Pushing a lot of things away out of my own life. And there's this like drop of resistance and this allowing to be held and nurtured through this pathway and on the approach to victory and keeping the sights on victory. A lot of that has been, and the way that my teams have been bringing it forward for me through various soul family members is awakening the mantra again of that victory approach. And so as I am feeling a lot closing out, a lot of cycles closing out of my life, and there's a lot of new that's coming in, the biggest things that I stay focused on is I release all expectation. Especially for myself, I've been a very imaginative person my whole life. And I actually started writing about this last night and will continue to write more about it, about what the process of creator and creation has been my entire life being a child. During extreme isolation, in my own life, and very imaginative, there's a lot of times that I would sit there and I would reflect and I would make up these like stories in my head, essentially, about the people that I connect with, and as a result, one level is to say that I create, it's like at the pure source creator consciousness, they are stories that I created. And at another level, there is this intuitive approach to recognize the storylines that have existed between me and other people, and how we can begin to transcend those limitations and those belief structures and those systems and the ideology and the narrative, right? Back to the narrative, back to the story, to completely dissolve, to come back into a pure place of oneness in the approach of how we're connecting with individuals, but more importantly, how we're connecting with ourselves and ourselves, right? So right now is this process of me of deconstructing stories from my life and just allowing things to unfold organically. And this is where the no expectation occurs, and this is where we begin to throw the rule book out the window of manifestation and creation. Okay, so there are no rules to creation and manifestation, but there are energetic guidelines when it comes to the new earth realities that we are shifting into now, and how we navigate with those energetic guidelines. And that is what has been unfolding. So with this union, there is this deep, profound knowing that love is appearing. Last night, Cupid showed up, and I was like, oh gosh, here we go, here's Cupid, and how many times have we ran through, how many times have you ran from Cupid? And so however this chooses to manifest, whether it's romance for some people, or whether it's showing up in soul family, right? There's this, I've learned not to attach to anything, I'm learning not to attach to anything, but the zero expectations has been a good mantra. It's also another thing has been, especially with awakening the victory, right, and awakening the miracle, is making sure every day your choice is to witness the miracle by beginning to shift your perspective on a lot of things and being able to state to yourself and to the body, to the form, I'm excited for this day, I'm excited for the miracles that are coming, I have no expectations, right? I cannot wait to see the magic that shows up in my life today, right? And then keeping that as, when the eyes open, the start of the day, to rebuild the reality focused on miracle consciousness and victory has been a big one. And so there was this awakening last night of something called victory consciousness. And victory at some point can still play into competition with some things, But what it is, it's awakening that that everything we want and everything we desire out of our realities and what we're putting forward for the collective is happening here and now, and that we can awaken this miracle in our own lives. And a part of awakening this miracle in our own lives is being able to just like take a moment to reframe our lens and to begin shifting the storylines out, to begin recognizing that when it comes to sacred partnerships, right, that more is going to be revealed with time, but we are coming together and we are rearranging our agreements to fully align to our best versions of ourselves. The word higher selves wanted to come through, but that's something I'm shifting out of. So it is, I guess for this sake, we are going to say higher self, that we are aligning these partnerships to the true knowing and to the true origin of our higher selves and belonging to our soul family and to our soul partnerships again, so we can begin to create, build, trust one another again, and we can begin to show more compassion for one another and for the future landscapes that are being created right now. And it is quite exciting. So as a result, the victory today is recognizing that no matter what you've gone through, especially when it comes to the narratives of struggle, that you can realign your whole reality, you can realign your purpose and realign your focus and vision and dreams to that of victories and miracles again, and being able to live free from the old patterns and just watching them all dissolve, right? It's been a huge one, especially in regards to things like Atlantis and ancient Egypt, that have been popping up, and a lot of the old stories that have been coming up, right? And this is once again clearing out the stories and awakening the passageway to that one true eternal source creation that is free of all of that. There's been a lot, and there's Fly By Night by Chilliwack. So for some of you, listen to the song Fly By Night by Chilliwack. It's a really, really great song. Something my dad showed me a while ago. It's one of my dad's favorite bands, artists, Chilliwack. They're an old Canadian band. And Fly By Night is one of those that really tells me of the dreams of missions, what's going on in dream time, a lot of the astral work, but also that we're awakening to a new flight path now in our own life. Okay, a new flight path, and a new light body, right? A new light body and a new shifting. So as a result, there's a lot of expansion. There's been a lot of grieving and a lot of stuff coming up to the surface. Really, really deep patterns, right? Exodus is one of them, right? And Exodus, okay, so Exodus is popping up, which is always it shows up in many different forms. And a lot of that is collective motion and collective movement, when entire groups of individuals are transitioning out of a what I would call a lower third or fourth dimensional reality and are shifting into those new realities that are 5D and higher, or however that chooses to express itself, because some of us are working with dimensions, some of us aren't. It just gives us kind of like a reference point of where we are consciously creating our reality. So with Exodus, we have soul movement, soul group movement, where entire collectives or pockets of the collective are shifting and transitioning out of old systems and are aligning to new. But also Exodus can reflect into walkouts, right? And so that is definitely a part of the experience right now. And when I just heard that, it's like, okay, so we've got some rainbow bridge work that's occurring. And when that bridge work is occurring, it's an opportunity for us to be able to elevate, to realign, and to inspire ourselves to walk through into the new. Now, of course, what happens when we walk into the new, especially when it comes to things like sacred partnerships, there's a lot that we need to let go of. Sometimes this shows up materially, like having to let go of certain things. This might be having to close out friendships or relationships, close doors on a lot of old pathways and on a lot of old timelines, especially in regards to right now the Anunnaki is a big one that's clearing out. And that has to do with a lot of divine child stuff, okay? The one that I've recognized, at least for myself, on the propagation of that pathway and what's happened with all the stuff with the Anus, it fully aligns with the child and awakening the Christ child from within. So it's just the whole cosmic galactic aspect of things, but at a level of awakening that the divine innocence of the child again, into that purified Christ consciousness, right? So we might just do a reading right now. Might do a reading. So I want to remind you guys too that with the opportunities that are coming up, that you do have a choice, and there are things that you can consciously say no to, and that we are not stuck or fixed or limited to one thing, right? And so in the expansive play of the universe, you have an opportunity to shift and realign your reality based upon the choice point of saying what sort of programs you will allow. So funny. That's hilarious. My mom just texted me saying morning grasshopper, which is funny because, yeah, grasshopper always means that we're doing timeline jumping. I haven't talked to her in days, so that's a good sign. If she's saying good morning grasshopper, she knows that we're jumping through some stuff, even if she's not fully aware of it. So I want to do a little tarot card reading for the collective, in regards to this awakening the victory and awakening the miracle. So yeah, I want to see what sort of, we're going to just do a basic energy reading over what kind of victory is showing up for us, how it's reading out through the cards, and how it's reading out for those that are resonating with this message. We're going to remember, fixed to nothing, attached to nothing, always use your discernment, take what resonates and leave the rest, right? But we're going to be looking at the energetics of what is arriving, and gift ourselves an opportunity to see what is coming forward for us as a collective. And for those that are awakening this miracle and this victory, because I'm already seeing the Six of Wands, which is very much so that victory approach, that victory march, that celebration. And it's the journey of having to close out a lot of old realities, awakening to new, and allowing the miracle to show up for us. See, there's the Ace of Wands, 10 of Wands on the split, which is that's the right there. That's a full cycle completion. That's a full creation cycle completion. That's the beginning and the end. And last night was another big focus on endings. I was actually listening to another song, because once again, music is how I translate and feel fully what's going on. And it was the song by Finch, which is an old punk band from my days. If you ever used to listen to Drive Through Records, like Homegrown and Alistair and all those bands, Finch was on Drive Through Records. And he has Randy R2K's from Temecula, California. Anyway, I'm going off right now. But the song Ender by Finch was playing, and that was everything focused on union, focused on closing out some really deep karmic stuff and realigning our realities to this new. Okay, so we are going to just see what sort of miracle wants to show up. What victory are we looking for? We're just going to do a basic energy reading. Yeah. So, just really quickly, do unto others. Do unto others. It's because it was the Five of Swords just threw down, and that's always do unto others as you do to yourself. Treat others, and you'll get a return on it. It's also about very much so walking away from the war and from the battle. Yep, there we go. Three of Pentacles, which is, it's all about that co-creation. That's the sacred womb space, and it's also about that balance point of masculine and feminine and teacher. This is that trinitization, right? That's that trinitization pattern that's coming into that union. Okay. Oy. Yeah, see, so here we go, Wheel of Fortune, right? That's the things are shifting in our favor. In regards to this, we're looking at Dharma. So this one is Dharma. This is that we are putting the wheel in motion to open up these new pathways to these newer realities. And it's also about all of the energetic support on the shifting of the wheel right now, right? So we have to also look at how much we are guided and supported by the elementals, by the higher realms, by ourselves, by solar logos, right? This is the pass through of the gates, because if you see, we have, you know, we have Anubis here holding the sword. So this is very much so the pass through point, or that purification, where we're breaking through and we're awakening to that new pathway, to that new reality, and to that portal that's opening up for ourselves. That is shifting the wheel in our favor. Yeah, and we are looking at the energy of abundance with the Queen of Pentacles, right? So we are looking at this Gaian focus abundance, though, right? And of course, that's going to reflect out in the reality. But this is that firm knowing of our support, of how the Rainbow Bridge is assisting us in accessing that. But we're also awakening a new code within ourselves, right? So this new code is it's a universal 4-letter key code, and it's called love. Okay, harmony and balance, people. Harmony and balance through this. Harmony and balance. Oh my gosh. Union here. Queen of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, right? We are having the mother and the father joining together in this streamline and shifting, right? So this is the solar logos. This is the mother and the father coming together and creating these new realities. This is that unity focused design. Right, and what this is, it's shifting our perspective, shifting our lens to one of a lot more hope and a lot more gratitude for the journey, and seeing how good of a job, the job well done that we've done in the balancing of these aspects, in awakening our future pathways, and also what is coming forward for us. So we are looking at a grounding of these energies, a grounding of these pathways that are helping us to facilitate in shifting our perspective, And then one more card. This is that clear knowing that it's our pathway and time to walk. Okay, it's our time to move forward in our power, to move forward in our truth. Crowning the reading, this is that energy of being on the lookout, right? So we are stabilizing and looking out for this in the reality, right? Because we're recognizing that as these codes and these energies are anchoring more and more, that the reality will catch up to it. So this is that energy of on the lookout, like awaiting for it. You know, even though it is Nine of Wands and it does have a different energetic signature, for depending on how you read it, in this form of, as I'm witnessing the sixth dimensional and higher narrative coming through, what we are is we're waiting. We're on the lookout for this to come about. So as it's grounding into the reality, especially with the mother and the father lines, right? The reality will catch up to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start finding that we're going to be meeting those people that are more balanced in their energetics and in their awakening, right? And this is why it's important to let a lot of things go, because as we are transitioning, we're shifting the wheel in our favor, and we're also recognizing the importance of Mother, Father, Earth, Mother, Father, Sky, right? And we're unifying those to bring it back into what we would call Gaia, or the heavens and the different realms of Gaia. It's important for us to also recognize that as we are awakening to this balance point in ourselves, as the king and the queen, or the mother and the father, and we are in this trinity, that the reality will reflect that, right? So our opportunities are going to be more balanced. They are going to be more fulfilled, right? They are going to be more abundant. But it's really about tuning into the energy of where we're at versus the perspective of the mind and what the mind perceives loss to be, right? Especially if like you're creating room, and that's why that Five of Cups energy is coming about. Because when it comes to this Five of Cups energy, we are looking at the perspective shift. Are we seeing the 3 down cups, or are we seeing what's still standing? Because if you see, we have 2 cups standing, right? So the 2 cups standing, if we were to go and look at the energy of the 2 of Cups, okay? Let me see if I can find the 2 of Cups in here. Oh, my hands are cold. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so with the Two of Cups, right? If we're looking at the energy of the Two of Cups, we're looking at that soul family. We're looking at that reciprocity. We're looking at that balance. We're looking at that coming together. We're looking at that mastery. We're looking at a merger of the masculine and the feminine within to gain what this mastery sequence and mastery code is. So the thing is that as we're shifting things out and we are still focusing on that victory, we're still focusing on the wheel of fortune card, right? We're focusing on the dharma turning in our favor. We're focusing on how we're closing out cycles in our reality. It's this perspective, right, of focusing on what's still standing, not on what has fallen, that's going to help to shift and to realign the reality. So a lot of this energy it's about a choice point in perspective, but we have to make sure that we are allowing the energy to speak forward more than the mind. Now here's another thing. When we're going through neural rewrites and we're going through gestation periods and we're going through seeding, what starts to happen is as we're going through the neural rewrites, it does affect our stomach. It affects our stomach. It affects all of this. And I'm hearing lining of the esophagus too. Because of the codes that are anchoring, we're clearing out a lot of the physical body density. So if you start throwing up, like if you start getting sick, if you start getting a lot of stomach acid, well, what's going on is that as you're anchoring the codes and you're going through the neural rewrite, neurons are built in the gut, right? So we have to start working with healthy gut flora and rebuilding that. And so for a period of time, if you feel like you just need to lay down, you can't eat like you normally do, or your diet's shifting and changing, that's a part of the process, because what you're doing is you are rebuilding a whole new reality based upon mind, body, spirit connection. This is when we start working with things like the Tabernacle, right? So the energy of the Tabernacle, which is something I was just discussing with the sister yesterday, all has to do with it has to do with body, soul, spirit, right? Because that's the way the tabernacles were built back in the day, was a representative of a holy place, which was built, basically it's like the outer construction was the body, the inner part of the temple, I believe, was the soul, and another part was the spirit. So it was, once again, coming back into that Trinity, but with the Trinity, we're also focusing on the body. So we're not just looking at mother, father, child here in the energetics, but we're also, it's the inclusion, or including the body into the consciousness that's awakening and into the union that's occurring. So as we're going through this perspective shift and this rewrite, right, making sure that we are taking those moments to do the mantras of the unity focused creation of the union, right, of the miracle, of the victory, of the reciprocity. So whatever that Two of Cups mantra is for you, and you can have fun and play with this, right? As see, right now Gaia is just raining abundance all around me, and this is what I'm talking about the key codes of the Gaian focus abundance. Is I've got leaves falling around me, and that's Gaia welcoming in this abundance. And then how that reflects for all of us in the reality is going to shift and change, especially as we've been creating the new earth networks, right? There's new opportunities that are aligning, right? There's new support systems that are being built, but they're first built energetically before we align to them, right? So a part of this perspective shift in our own lives is that we always want to be mindful of where are we at on our creation. Are we focusing on what we've lost, or what's still standing, or what is to gain from what we are shifting out? And so as we are realigning our realities, we also want to realign our belief system and realign our focus to that of this perspective shift, right? To make sure that that which still is standing strong. The reason I state that is because when it comes to a collapse of a system, so a lot of the systems that are falling, or the energies or the grids that are collapsing in our own lives, it's because they cannot exist beyond a certain bandwidth. So let's say that there is a creation or something that you hold on to that exists at 963 hertz. Well, once we get Gaia settled at 964 and 965 hertz, that's when that 963 hertz range starts to collapse. You see what I'm getting at? So basically what's happening is that system that we're holding on to was only meant to last. It had an expiration date because of its energetic bandwidth, right? And so a part of this is that as this is falling from our own lives energetically, right, we want to make sure that we're keeping the focus on that which is not pure shall crumble, right? That which is still standing is meant to stand the tests of time and the energetic bandwidth that we are co-creating in every now moment. So a lot of this that will happen for people is something falls, and there's like, oh no, there's a loss here, you know, what am I doing wrong, and well, it's also too, it's a part of us that have been existing and creating in polarity, that once something is done and finalized, it's done. It's a part of uncreating old creations. And so when something is uncreated from our lives, it just requires us to recognize that it wasn't meant to last as a part of our creation. And as we are awakening this new humanity, which is free of, you know, things like greed and things like filth, right? And then we awaken to this Gaian abundance, which Gaia just started to show us. It really is about that perspective. And that's the thing, is that this is how quick the manifestations are, is that I can sit here and discuss this, and then Gaia will immediately reflect that in the reality to show, hey, you're on the right path, right? Your pure, potent potential is awakening within all of us right now, but it requires, across all lifetimes, across all millennias, right, across all realities, seen and unseen, including parallel realities, is that we have to be mindful of the perspective that we are holding as we are shifting. And it really is as simple as us being able to just recite that mantra, right? So today I want to ask you and invite you to create your victory mantra. Create your miracle mantra and create your victory mantra, and just begin reading that to yourself multiple times through the day to shift your perspective. And if you find yourself going into the loss or into the fear, begin to start realigning and awakening that. And there's Imagine playing. Awaken the imagination, which is that beautiful reality that we are aligning to right now. So we have to set aside the old belief systems. We have to set aside the old wheels of ascension. We have to set aside the old motion and the old momentum, because there's what's opening up right now is a new flow. That's that wheel of fortune. That wheel of fortune is opening up a new flow, and especially with the Queen and King of Pentacles, what we are seeing is a flow that is in alignment, mother and father, with planet Earth, right? And it's the grounded flow. It's not just the etheric flow, but it's the anchoring through the form, and how we are walking and moving and shifting through the form. So this doesn't have to always mean a physical walk, but what it is, it's about the embodiment in body, and how we are flowing in the body with the new energies that we are anchoring, which are shifting a lot out of our own lives right now. And as a result, things kick up, right? In the reality, things kick up in the collective as a result of those shifts, because that's what happens as we're transcending the old, right? So as we are transcending the old and things are shifting, it will awaken something within ourselves. It will awaken a feeling. And the thing is, okay, so here's what I want to say, is that as it awakens the feelings, people will become reactionary to the feeling, because there's a lot of feelings we don't want to feel, right? Like things like frustration, things like anger. Lori Ladd did a great video last night about frustration. And I think it was called A Personal Message for Somebody. So if you have a chance, go check out Lori Ladd, LORIELADD, LADD, LADD. And she's a wonderful woman who shares really wonderful messages, and I really appreciate her and Phil Good's work. So Lori has put out a video last night regarding this, and I'm stating that because basically there's a lot of feelings and emotions that occur, and it's her material. So I'll just say this before I start reiterating her material: go check it out. Just go check out Lori Ladd's video about that, because it will get you better acquainted with like things like frustration and different things we feel as a result of when these energies anchor and we begin to kick off some new pathways. And so when we're kicking off those new pathways and we are shifting, right, we have a choice on either resisting it or allowing it to occur. And as we allow it to occur, there are feelings that happen, right? There are things that go on. Now, as a result, we want to make sure we're coming from a place, for myself at least, of being non-reactionary to what's going on, but allowing myself to gift myself the opportunity to feel. So in regards to that, it's like, is there someone that I can call when I'm feeling this way so I can let it out? Do I need, what are my needs while I'm going through that? Or do I just need to sit with it and allow myself to feel fully? Especially some of the really, really deep stuff that's been clearing. I've gone through quite a few clearings recently that have been things that I don't want to feel, right? And as a result, I just kind of I had at a time started to push it away because it was really deep stuff. But now if we recognize that there is there's safety in feeling, right? And becoming non-reactive in feeling, which means that like sometimes we have to separate ourselves from the collective or not go out for a few days, honor what we're feeling, just kind of, burn through the clearing. And then once we awaken with that heart open again and that beautiful magic, reverberating through our form, that we're actually gifting ourselves an opportunity to we do from that place. And rather than resisting the emotion or acting on the emotion or becoming reactionary to what we're feeling, we just allow it. We just allow the feeling to be exactly what it is and say, hey, like, it's safe to feel this way. And that's an old mantra that I talked about. I started talking about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, which is about being the safety in feelings and being able to say, hey, like, what I'm feeling right now is okay, right? If I'm feeling angry or tired, or I'm feeling lonely, or I'm feeling out of touch with my senses, or out of touch with reality, or I'm not aligning to certain things, or I'm not syncing up with certain people anymore, it's okay. Especially in regards to, there's different things, different themes, different narratives, different people, different processes, right? So please find what your process is and honor that fully, because my process is mine, and it's going to be different for everyone as we're feeling things, right? But right now it is making sure that when it comes to the perspective, allow yourself to feel what you need to feel, but also work on that mantra of your victory mantra and your miracle mantra, right? And just tell that to yourself every single day. And as a result, as we're beginning to create that in our own lives, and our bodies begin to remember what it is to be a miracle, right? So like just being in the body and showing up as the body, showing up as the form is a miracle. What's going to happen is it's going to begin to shift out a lot of things. It's going to shift out a lot out of our lives. Okay. So victories and miracles await us all. Joy inbound, love inbound. Cupid's arrow is around right now. We're in a pathway right now. We're in a passageway that is awakening a lot of miracles and a lot of victory in our own lives. And as a result, there's periods of feeling the miracle and feeling the victory, and then there's periods of going low. I want to remind you, and this is what was told to me the other day by my teams, is that the lower we go, the higher we rise, right? So if you're going down into those realms and you're feeling those things, get down there, feel it, clear it, because there will be a moment where you pop up on the other side. I promise you, it will happen. And there are things we can do. There are things that we can make. There's things that we can do, and there's things that we can create that can facilitate in that. And sometimes we just need to be down there. Like sometimes we just need to go down there, be there, love ourselves fully, and we will pop out of it. I promise you, right? Mother's got your back, and Guy is saying that right now. She's like, mother's got your back, but she was saying mother hen has got your back, right? So there is that mama hen focus. There is that, the eggs are safe, the creations are safe, you're being taken care of, you're being guarded, you're being guided, right? So especially if you're going through that sacral expansion, you've been anchoring the codes, your creation, your baby, whatever is nestling in your womb right now, whatever you are creating, all right, is with you. It loves you. And you're being cared and held for in that place and in that space. Okay, so love you guys. Much love and respect to everyone out there. Thank you to everyone for your like, shares, and subscribe. As always, your donations are greatly appreciated. If you'd like to book a session, you can go to foundersoflight.org. All the links are in the description box. I will also leave a link to Lori Ladd's video in the description box for what she posted yesterday in regards to feeling. I think it was really important. It helped me a lot. Her messages really resonate with me. So if you want to go support her and her channel, awesome. She's a wonderful woman. Never met her, never talked to her, but been following her for a while and really appreciate her messages and the work she does for us here on planet Earth. All right, as we're awakening humanity. So love you guys. Much love and respect to everyone out there. And with that, I'll see you in another moment of the now. Namaste.